America loves showing off its success. The stadiums, the skylines, the luxury condos on Instagram, but drive just 5 minutes past the exit ramps, past the LED billboards and flashing signs, and you'll find another America. An America where power cuts out without warning, where roads crack like old porcelain, where turning on the tap feels like a health gamble. These aren't rare accidents. These are entire zip codes, quietly erased from the map of progress. No jobs, no safety net, no media attention, just silence. And somewhere inside that silence is a $13,000 house nobody wants. Today, we're traveling through the forgotten back roads of the United States, where poverty looks post-apocalyptic, and real estate comes bundled with heartbreak. This isn't surface level. By the end of this video, you'll understand why cheap housing is often the most expensive mistake you can make. So if you care about smart decisions, real data, and real stories, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. This channel saves people from costly mistakes. Let's begin. Number 10, Cairo, Illinois. There's a town in America where the streetlights still turn on every night, even though most of the residents are gone. Like the city is waiting for people who aren't coming back. Welcome to Cairo, Illinois. Sitting at the meeting point of two massive rivers, the Mississippi and the Ohio. On paper, this location was destiny. And once, it worked. River trade, railroads, factories. Cairo used to punch far above its weight. In 1920, over 15,000 people lived here. Today, fewer than 2,000. That's not slow decline. That's economic evacuation. Let's talk numbers. Homes regularly list between $10,000 and $25,000. Some sit unsold for years. Poverty rate, over 40%. Entire blocks, boarded up. Utilities still run. But for who? Most major employers left decades ago. And here's what nobody tells you. Nothing replaced them. No tech hub. No logistics boom. No revival plan that worked. A local once wrote online, Cairo feels like a movie set after the crew packed up and forgot to yell, cut. That's not exaggeration. That's urban reality. The town didn't just lose people. It lost momentum. Schools merged. Housing projects vanished. Services slowly disappeared. Staying stopped being a choice and became a statement. Here's the irony. Cheap housing doesn't mean cheap living. When jobs are rare, when hospitals are far, every dollar stretches thinner. Isolation becomes expensive. Hope becomes a luxury. Sure, you can buy a house for the price of a used Honda. Congratulations. Your commute is unemployment. Your nightlife? Plywood flapping in the wind. And the silence? Not peaceful. Heavy. The kind where your footsteps echo. Like the town is watching you. Even the rivers feel temporary. They pass through. Just like everyone else. And if that feels unsettling, wait, because the next city had money, it just never reached the people. Number 9, Camden, New Jersey. Across the river from Philadelphia, literally walking distance, sits Camden, New Jersey, where you can see billion-dollar condos from streets without reliable trash pickup. Welcome to Camden, where the American dream took a wrong turn and never recovered. This city has been stuck in an economic glitch since the 1980s. Gentrification happened, just not here. Let's look at the numbers. Median home price? Around $17,000. Not a typo. That's the price of a couch in Manhattan. Poverty rate? Over 36%. Unemployment? Often double the national average. Violent crime? 5 times higher than normal. Graduation rate? Around 65%. Water complaints? Constant. Infrastructure? Patchwork. Public services? Inconsistent. But here's the twist. Since 2013, Camden has received over $2 billion in investment. Corporate campuses, police upgrades, waterfront parks. So why does it still feel broken? Because the money walked in and walked right past the residents. A local once said, "We got skyscrapers, but I still take 2 buses to buy groceries. That's Camden in one sentence. Living here means navigating underfunded schools, limited healthcare, decades of broken promises, watching new buildings rise, knowing you weren't invited inside, and good luck getting a bank loan for that $23,000 house. Banks say no. Payday lenders say yes. At 400% interest. Camden has more police per square mile than some conflict zones, but fewer working ATMs, fewer trash cans. Driving here feels like a suspension stress test. Quick question. If companies get millions in tax breaks, should they be forced to hire locals? Tell me in the comments. I read them, and if this surprised you, hit like. It helps this message reach more people. Number 8, East St. Louis, Illinois. You know, a city is in trouble when decline becomes policy. East St. Louis isn't just struggling. It's what happens when neglect becomes systematic. Across the river from the Gateway Arch, from shiny downtown St. Louis, is a city where life expectancy is up to 10 years lower. Welcome to the basement of the American dream. Median home price? About $18,000. Some homes don't even have walls. Poverty rate? Over 43%. Unemployment? Generational. Violent crime? Frequently among the worst in America. Infrastructure? Post-apocalyptic with better graffiti. Entire neighborhoods lack reliable water, functional lights, consistent trash pickup. And you can see luxury condos glittering in the distance, like a cruel joke. How did it get here? Short version? Racism. Redlining. Corruption. The city once thrived on steel and rail. But when industries left, so did the tax base. The state took over finances, without fixing services. Schools decayed. Policing stalled. Sanitation failed. Some school buildings literally grew mushrooms inside classrooms. And every few years, a politician arrives with a revitalization plan that looks good on PowerPoint and nowhere else. Living here means survival mode. Blocks of burned-out homes. Flood damage. No mitigation. Roads so broken, they feel personal. I once saw a car dodge a pothole by driving onto the sidewalk. That was safer. Streetlights? One flickering bulb on a leaning pole. Sirens echo off empty shells of houses. The nearest store? Liquor. Behind bulletproof glass. Welcome home. And yes, there are more stray dogs than fire hydrants. I counted. This close. Remember Camden? At least they pretend to help. East St. Louis doesn't even get good PR. Number 7, Selma, Alabama. Beginning. Selma helped change American history, which means America should have shown up afterward. Didn't. The Edmund Pettus Bridge lives in textbooks, in documentaries, in speeches. But once the cameras left, so did the investment. This is what happens when a place becomes a symbol instead of a priority. Let's ground this in reality. Median home price? $22,000 to $25,000. Poverty? Around 40%. Unemployment? Consistently high. Population? Down over 25% since the 1960s. Healthcare? One unstable hospital. History is preserved. Opportunity isn't. Selma isn't dangerous in the way people expect. The biggest threat here isn't violence. It's stagnation. It's the slow grind of watching young people leave because opportunity already packed up. A local once wrote online, "People come to see the bridge, then ask where everyone went." That question answers itself. You can't pay rent with historical importance. And here's the uncomfortable truth. We've built a system where memory replaces policy. Selma gets remembered instead of funded. Every year there are plaques, anniversaries, reenactments. But when it comes to schools, hospitals, infrastructure, job creation, suddenly budgets tighten. Alabama ranks near the bottom nationally in education spending and healthcare access. And rural black communities like Selma feel that first and hardest. Selma isn't underdeveloped because it lacks importance. It's underdeveloped because importance doesn't come with a budget line. The city has applied for grants, pitched revitalization plans, tried tourism-based recovery. But tourism doesn't replace factories, and history doesn't compound like capital. Living in Selma means carrying two emotions at once: pride and frustration. Pride in what it represents, frustration in what it's been denied. You'll see beautiful old homes, some restored, many not, churches that still anchor communities, quiet streets, and empty storefronts, a future that's always being discussed, never delivered. Selma fought for voting rights. Now it's fighting for working streetlights. And let's talk about the heat. Alabama heat isn't a suggestion. It's a command. At aging houses, spotty AC, power bills that feel personal, and suddenly, you're sweating through history. Literally. It's hard to romanticize anything when you're melting on a porch last repaired in the 1980s. And yet, one of the safest feeling towns on this list is also one of the poorest. Selma didn't lose its soul. It lost follow-through. America took the lesson and left the teacher behind. And if that feels bad, the next town doesn't even get remembered. It just fades. Number 6, Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pine Bluff isn't poor because it's small. It's poor because it was useful until it wasn't. This town did exactly what America asked. Worked the land, ran the mills, fed the factories. Then globalization happened, and Pine Bluff stayed behind. Located in southeast Arkansas, deep in the Delta, flatland, hot summers. Once a manufacturing and agricultural hub. Now, a case study in economic abandonment. Let's talk numbers. Median home price? $21,000 to $24,000. Some dip below $15,000. Poverty rate? Around 30%. That's 1 in 3 residents. Unemployment? Consistently high. Violent crime? 4 to 5 times the national average. Population? Down more than 25% since 2000. The people who could leave did. Decline here isn't subtle. It's visible. Empty storefronts. Overgrown lots. Entire blocks paused mid-sentence. Zillow listings say, great potential, without specifying for what. Here's the trap. Arkansas ranks near the bottom in education funding, healthcare access, infrastructure spending. Pine Bluff gets hit hardest. Revitalization plans come and go. Task forces, committees, vision statements with sunset covers. Little sustained capital. Most development money flows to Northwest Arkansas, places already thriving. Pine Bluff gets spreadsheets filled with sympathy. Federal aid? Often tied to prisons, not job creation, which means one of the most stable employers nearby is the correctional system. That's not development. That's containment. Yes, housing is cheap, but it comes bundled with trade-offs. Limited employers, weak healthcare, struggling schools, high insurance. People don't leave because they hate Pine Bluff. They leave because staying requires endurance, not ambition. A local once wrote, "It's not dangerous every day. It's just heavy." Perfect description. Low cost of living, high cost of escape. And Arkansas heat? It deserves its own apology letter. Summer feels personal. The air sits on you. Power bills spike. That $23,000 house starts charging interest in sweat. Imagine sitting on your porch at dusk. Cicadas buzzing. No traffic. No job listings. Nearest specialist doctor an hour away. And realizing, calm isn't security. Pine Bluff didn't fail the system. The system finished using Pine Bluff. Number 5. Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Johnstown has survived 3 major floods, 1 industrial collapse, and a tourism economy built on tragedy. Somehow, still standing. Barely. Welcome to Johnstown, where the American dream got waterlogged. Homes now sell for less than a used snowblower. Let's drop the nostalgia. Median home price? Around $22,000. Many under $15,000. Population? from 60,000 in the 1950s to about 18,000 today. Poverty rate, over 35%. Child poverty, near 40%. Unemployment, consistently high. Crime, lower than Pine Bluff, still above average. The steel industry collapse hit like a wrecking ball made of pink slips. The city never recovered. What remains feels like a museum of loss. Beautiful hills, rusted bridges, cinematic quiet, not the fun kind. After the deadly 1889 flood, Johnstown became a national symbol of rebuilding. A century later, flooding is still a problem. Help arrives slower. Federal aid is piecemeal. State investment sporadic. Economic plans live in PowerPoints. Johnstown is part of the Appalachian Regional Commission, a program meant to help struggling regions. In theory, in practice, most funding goes to prettier towns, Instagram-friendly main streets, fewer collapsing bridges. Johnstown gets pilot programs that never scale. Living here feels like dating someone stuck in the past. The steel boom, you hear about it constantly. How good it used to be. Now, thrift shops, dollar stores, sun-faded real estate signs. A local joked, "We don't lock our doors." Not because it's safe, but because nobody wants our stuff. When your biggest attraction is a disaster museum, that's telling. And why is it always gray? Western Pennsylvania feels like it signed a contract with clouds. Seasonal depression in July. Picture standing on a bridge at dusk. Water high, train echoing, buildings empty. You're walking through history, but history doesn't pay rent. San Diego gets biotech. Johnstown gets nostalgia. Guess who gets funding? If you've ever thought about moving into a $12,000 house, you need this channel. Subscribe. I'll save you thousands. Number 4. Marianna, Arkansas. Beginning. Marianna is the kind of town where even the barbecue gave up. Once famous for food that made national lists, now has more boarded buildings than working stoplights. Yes, really. Deep in the Arkansas Delta, Marianna has southern charm and an economic emergency nobody wants to acknowledge. Let's talk numbers. Median home price? $17,000 to $23,000. That's not affordable. That's a distress signal. Poverty rate? Over 45%. Household income? Around $22,000. Less than half the national average. Unemployment? Nearly double. Crime? Moderate, but property theft is common. And that's just the beginning. In Marianna, opportunity didn't just leave. Shut off the lights, took the barbecue, and didn't even pretend it was coming back. You know, a town is struggling when the best weekend plan is driving somewhere else and saying it with a smile. You can buy a house here for less than an iPhone. But good luck getting cell service to Google what you just bought. Marianna isn't just broke. It's structurally abandoned. Arkansas ranks near the bottom in public health, education funding, infrastructure investment. That's not bad luck. That's decades of budget choices. Federal attention? Minimal. State support? Mostly symbolic. Even revitalization programs skip towns like this in favor of places near highways and donors. And remember, this is the seat of Lee County, one of the poorest counties in America. For decades, one of the few major investments nearby. Prison jobs. Because in towns like Marianna, incarceration gets more funding than education. Yes, you can buy a house for under $20,000. But what are you really buying? Broken roads, aging pipes, grocery stores with more soda than vegetables, an economy running on faith and fumes. You're not buying property. You're buying into a system that quietly decided this place wasn't worth saving and never informed the residents. Let's talk about mosquitoes. Delta mosquitoes aren't insects. They're a lifestyle. Summer turns your porch into a buffet. Add 95-degree heat, relentless humidity, fragile power grids, and suddenly that cheap house feels like a heat trap. One of the South's former barbecue capitals, Can't even keep a diner open. If a home costs $13,000, but the nearest hospital is an hour away, would you buy it? Tell me in the comments. No judgment. Okay, some judgment. Number 3, Allenville, Missouri. Allenville doesn't really have a downtown, because it was flooded out and never rebuilt. Yes, this is one of America's smallest official ghost towns, with a zip code, population, around 38 people. That's not a typo. That's a bowling league. Allenville is where living conditions feels theoretical. Let's run the numbers. Population, about 38. Median home price, under $6,000. Yes, $6,000. Infrastructure, no sewer system, limited electricity. Roads you question with your life. Businesses, imagine a ghost town, with mail delivery. Employment, mostly symbolic. This town doesn't decline slowly. It shrinks violently, like fabric in a hot dryer. Realtors here sell peace and quiet, which is code for isolation. And here's the dark part. Allenville isn't failing because it's ugly. It's failing because it's ignored. Flooding isn't rare here. It's routine. Repeated inundation destroys infrastructure. And every time, it goes elsewhere. Officials apply for grants, request mitigation funds, propose drainage plans. Nearby towns with louder voices get priority. Allenville gets evaporation. Cheap housing here isn't freedom. It's abandonment in disguise. Electricity flickers. Sewers fail. Roads collapse. And yes, the mosquitoes have PhDs. You step outside and instantly lose blood. No bars. No cafes. No nightlife. Just buzzing. And silence. 20 steps down the road. Nothing. No stores. No traffic. No future plans. Silence isn't peaceful here. It's absence. A town with fewer people than a classroom has more land than opportunity. Number 2, Whitehall, Alabama. Whitehall's sewer problem is so severe, doctors linked it to hookworm cases in 2023. Hookworm. In modern America, this isn't rural charm. This is infrastructure poverty, turned biological. Located in rural Alabama, surrounded by pine forests, but don't be fooled. Median home price? Around $19,000. Poverty rate? Near 40%. Unemployment? Above average. Healthcare? Sparse. Specialists? Far. Sanitation failures? Documented. Repeatedly. This isn't cheap opportunity. It's neglect with a price tag. And here's the ugly truth. The sanitation crisis isn't accidental. It's structural. Funding exists. Grants exist. Relief programs exist. But towns with low tax bases, weak political influence, no grant writers, lose every time. Whitehall appears in reports, studies, health journals, while toilets still back up. Documentation isn't intervention. Some officials call it persistent poverty. Locals call it Thursday. Cheap homes here are liability discounts. Sure, you can buy a house for the price of a used TV. But add failing septic, questionable water, no job market, and suddenly it's expensive. Social life? Walmart parking lot. That's the town square. People gather, compare trucks, discuss life choices, and wait for the ice cream truck. Like royalty. Would you buy a $19,000 house if it meant risking 1900 level sanitation? Vote in the comments. Be honest. Number 1. Gloucester, Mississippi. If America keeps pretending towns like this don't exist, Gloucester is the future. Quiet, cheap, ignored. Not the worst in every category, but the clearest example of neglect. Gloucester doesn't scream. It fades. Located in southwest Mississippi, near Louisiana, once a timber town, then the mills closed, and the purpose disappeared. Population? Around 850. Median home price? $13,000 to $18,000. Poverty? Near 50%. Job market? Almost non-existent. Employers? Gas stations. dollar stores, nearby prisons, no grocery store, no pharmacy, no dentist. Healthcare means driving. This town isn't unsafe in chaos. It's unsafe in structure. If something goes wrong, there's no backup, just distance. Mississippi ranks near the bottom in health, income, education, infrastructure. That's the baseline. Now zoom into a shrinking rural black town. Gloucester didn't lose funding. It never had it. Federal programs exist, but require paperwork, matching funds, leverage. Gloucester has none. So the biggest investment nearby? Prisons. Not schools. Not clinics. Not broadband. When incarceration becomes your economic anchor, you're managing decline, not building a future. On paper, it's a bargain. Cheap houses, no traffic, quiet nights. In reality, long drives, few jobs, limited care, few exits. A resident once said, "We don't leave because we hate it. We leave because there's nothing to grow into." That's the story. And Mississippi humidity should be illegal. You step outside, and the air grabs you. Old houses, weak AC, power bills exploding. That $14,000 home starts charging sweat interest. Outro, final message. So here's the truth. Cheap housing isn't opportunity. It's a warning label. Every town you saw today did what it was asked, worked, produced, contributed, then got replaced and forgotten. Low prices aren't gifts. They're receipts for decades of neglect. If this video changed how you think, hit like, subscribe, share it, because understanding this can save you years and thousands. And if you've lived in places like this, tell your story below. People need to hear it.